Let's go. Why is it? Oh, there it goes. I was waiting for the intro. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of The Morning Metro. It is July 13th, 2019. We, of course, your hosts, Cappy Man and myself, Grit21. Hello, good morning. How are you, Cappy?
Doing good. Got enough sleep last night, so
I wish
wide-eye and bushy tail. So
I wish I had a bushy tail because it looks fun, but I am not wide-eyed nor bushy-tailed because I was up late writing for this show that I had to get up, ironically, at an early time to do the show. And funny how that turns out, you know. But we have some nice articles and stuff to go through, of course, as always. But I don't know. Intros for the show are always. I always feel like I should be like, well, how's the weather, or how's, you know, like, I don't know. It always is like, it's such a short greeting, and then we jump into things, and it's just, you know, whatever. By the way, for those of you who are watching, Cabby got a new webcam, and he looks absolutely fantastic. He actually has the same webcam that I do now. He's using a C920 and I'm using a C920. So it's very uniform, which actually looks great, actually, for the desk.
C922
Oh, excuse me. Oh, I'm so sorry. C922. I'm so sorry. Yes. So, but we're here and we're doing the show. And I think with that, we go ahead and roll this little intro out for the moment. And go ahead and get in. Start with we have a couple of people also who are here as well. Gertron, who's in chat. Hello, Gertron and Creature. Good morning. It was upgraded just for a bad storm to hurricane today. Oh goodness. Yes, Hurricane Barry. We wait for those that are going to be in that storm's path. Unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was. I heard a little bit about it in the news earlier this week, and that they were prepping down in New Orleans for it, but you know, I don't know anything else beside that. So hopefully I hope they're faring well, because they definitely got messed over hard enough with the first hurricane that rocked through there and stuff. So
yeah, I believe they're underwater again, if I recall correctly.
Really?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just bad out there.
Yikes.
It's just how New Orleans is located, because they're below sea level compared to like the rest of the United States.
Yeah.
Because water flows down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So no, it's definitely not a good situation for them as a whole. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't think that didn't cross my mind to like put that in the show. But thank you, Gertron, for throwing that out there as well. By the way, it is nice to see Gertron in the chat after having a bit of a short hiatus of sorts. He's just joining us via chat and everything. But I think we'll go ahead and jump into our main articles for today, which goes to Cappy. So Cappy, would you please start us off?
So the new AMD 7nm Navi 14 GPU has been leaked.
Yay!
Pretty much it looks amazing.
Praise the computer gods.
So the only two information that has been leaked so far is the 5700 series GPUs and the 5600 RX GPUs.
Okay.
Pretty much the specs for both the RX 57s are going to have the Navi 10. And the Radeon RX 56 are going to have the Navi 14s. The stream processors are going to have, for both of them, for the 5700 series is going to have 2560 stream processors,
aka CUDA cores. I'm sorry, wrong company.
And the RX 5600 series are going to have the 1536 processors.
Gotcha.
Stream processors.
Now let me ask real quick, because if anybody recalled or remembers or knows, AMD had a very big launch last weekend, and they were dropping like processors and graphics cards. Are the Navi graphics cards that are being mentioned here, are those the ones that were at the big launch that we're talking about here, just so we're on the same page? Just checking.
So no, these
Oh,
haven't
okay.
been officially announced or anything like that.
Okay.
Pretty much, they're just leaks right
Got
now.
you. Okay.
So this is just speculative, but supposedly these are actually on CompuBench websites.
Got you.
So it's kind of hard to say on whether or not it's going to be official or not.
Gotcha. All
More
right.
than likely, yes, these are what the processors are going to be.
Fantastic. Yes, that's great. Yeah, no, because like, and I've been saying this for a while, and I've been talking to a couple people about this. It is nice to see AMD go like to go to say to Intel, the heck with you, and like dropping all these. It's nice to see some competition for
Yeah,
once.
and I'm actually glad for competition
Yeah,
because it
means
it
the
will
prices are more
definitely
competitive.
help the market.
Yeah, and
It,
price more competitive, and there's
yeah.
better. Yeah, there's help with healthier development. Now, I know that it's been. I feel like this is kind of like someone's fantasy dream. I know that Intel was trying to develop their own GPU. I think one of the guys that worked at AMD, I think he either quit or got moved. He either moved out of the company and then moved into like Intel's space or something. So they're there. So now they're trying to develop their own dedicated graphics card. I think actually from my last understanding, unless I'm misunderstood or something like that. But you know, if that's true, that means you're gonna have AMD, Intel, and Nvidia all developing their own graphics cards.
Yeah, this is
It
definitely
is
going to be
heating up, hotter
yeah,
than a summer in July. Am I right?
yeah.
I'm trying to find my. There we go. Got it. But yeah, no, but for people who are wanting to build, you know, a new computer and haven't already, now is the time to do it. Honestly,
Yeah.
can't wait for price drop. Yeah, absolutely. Because like I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. Now the only reason why I am personally sticking with Nvidia, there is a good reason for it. I was watching some videos from Epovox, and he did several videos with Wendell from Level 1 Techs, about how that AMD's hardware encoding is not where it needs to be right now. The way he sort of put it was that he made it sound like that the hardware encoding part of the new graphics cards was like an afterthought, like they just kind of stuck it in there, but it wasn't a very good, like, you know, deployment. So for streamers, going AMD for a graphics card is not viable right now, because just simply because their hardware encoder is just not, for the present time, very good. Because from a technical standpoint, basically, OBS Studio specifically, which is what I use and what a lot of streamers use, there is AMD graphics card support, but the problem is that it's using a encoder plugin that is actually several years old. And so when you go to use the AMD graphics card for hardware encoding, the pixelation, the quality is not that great because it's using this old like AMF, you know, whatever quality and stuff like that. So you actually have to go to GitHub to download this updated plugin that might give you better performance, but I don't know. So the reason I'm saying all this is because I hope with these, you know, Navi 14 cards, I really hope that then AMD will be like, oh, there's this whole other market that we could develop our graphics cards for hardware encoding, and then more directly compete with NVIDIA. But because NVIDIA's got the better, you know, NVENC hardware encoder, from a streaming standpoint, it's actually still more viable to go with NVIDIA for now until the hardware support for hardware encoding becomes better. So, you know, thoughts on that, Cappy, if you have any.
No, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. Like, I don't have anything to add for once.
All right, fair enough. And actually, staying on the subject of now, one of the things that was announced, and this is where I'm going to go to that article I mentioned a little bit before the show here, the one at the end. One of the things that was announced, beside leaks for this, but was definitely confirmed, or that is to say talked about, was PCIe 4.0 support. Now, originally, and this is kind of a bit of a read, I'm sort of gonna half skim, sort of half read this. Originally, PCIe 4. Now, first of all, let's back up. So for those of you who don't know what this is, I'm gonna quick clarify. PCIe stands for PCI Express. It's a connector on a motherboard, and it allows for express fast connection between a peripheral device such as a graphics card and a CPU. By the way, good morning, Cian. Welcome to the show. I just noticed Cappy's face cam is slightly bigger than Grid's. Oh, okay. I didn't know. Okay, I didn't. I'll have to fix that for next time. Thank you for that. So PCIe 4 was again announced and talked about and stuff. So it allows for faster interconnects, faster transfer speed. It's really helpful for a lot of, for fast storage devices, capture cards, graphics cards, etc. But originally it was announced for the X570. By the way, can I just say, these platform names are really starting to run together. X470, X570, what is it going to be? X670, X770. Like, I mean, what is it? Like, I mean, I get what it, I mean, there's madness to there's science to the madness. It's just kind of, it's just confusing. So with all of that said, take a breath. Motherboards that are selected X470 and B450 boards will have support for PCIe 4 on selected slots. So let me go ahead and read some of this article. So this comes from guru3d.com. By the way, the other article came from WFCCtech.com. That's a weird name for a site. Okay, so from guru3d.com, despite earlier rumors, it seems that even motherboards without X570 chipsets can offer PCIe 4.0 on Ryzen 3000 series CPUs. AMD denied this during Computex bit. ASUS, however, now published a list of various X470 and B450 motherboards that should at least offer partial compatibility for PCI 4.0. Remember that the option for PCI Gen 4 popped up in several BIOSes on X470. Well, here is the thing. And as explained in our reviews, the motherboard chipset and I/O chip in the Ryzen 3000 processor are the same thing. Yes, that's two chipsets. The one in the proc thus is PCI 4, and if you use X470 or another Series 400 chipset, the interlinks are PCIe Gen 2, but that does not mean that the CPU I/O chip still can offer PCIe 4.0 lanes to selected slots, graphics cards, 16x, and one M.2 4x slot. So basically, ASUS has outed a series of firmware BIOS updates in the past few weeks that PCIe Gen 4 option is back. In Asia, some people have been trying to enable it, and it works on selected motherboards, it seems. After enablement, the processor themselves provides 16 PCIe 4.0 lanes for graphics cards and 4 more lanes for M.2 NVMe SSDs. That's a lot of terminology right there. Remember, due to the chip on X570 platforms has PCIe 4.0 everywhere, the X470 and B450 even use the old standard PCIe 2 with whatever runs over the chipset. So that's a lot to take in. But basically, basically there are boards that do support the Gen 4 slot. Now, ironically, this I was kind of ecstatic and surprised my personal motherboard is one of the supported motherboards for PCIe Gen 4. Is Cappy sitting there?
My personal motherboard is PCIe Gen 4.
Oh no. So mine is an ROG Strix X470-F gaming motherboard. Now the funny thing was, I originally bought this motherboard because the first PCIe slot is not shared. So my graphics card actually runs at full 16x speed basically all the time.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, see, the reason why I say that is that certain slots are shared on the motherboard, and that's a lot of that's something that people don't think about when they buy motherboards. They like look at like, oh wow, look at all these lanes, and I'm like, guys, get into technical aspects, and so you have to like look at, you know, certain slots share, you know, at certain, when this slot is filled, it goes from like 16 down to 8 or even down to 4 sometimes, depending on how the interconnects are shared and everything. So I actually moved my capture card to a 4. Was it it's one of those like shorter PCIe slots. I don't remember what it's called.
PCI.
No, it's not PCI. It is PCIe. It's just a smaller PCIe slot. I don't remember it's like a 4x slot. It's like really small. But when I changed the order of when I reslotted everything, my graphics card's like, hey, I'm running at 16x. I'm like, yay, awesome. I don't have a monitor to support all that, but cool. It just means for encoding, it's better. I mean, I guess from an encoding perspective, it kind of matters if it's a little bit faster, I guess. But the difference between 8 and 16 though, is it really that big of a jump as far as like interconnect?
Actually, yes, because you have more lanes that will transfer information. So instead of having 4 lanes or 8 lanes, you're gonna have 16 lanes.
Oh.
And pretty much what that does, it makes it so that way traffic has more lanes to go through.
Kind of like a highway, basically, like a priority lane.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I kind of knew that, but just we're kind of playing dumb for the people who don't. I know we have some people who listen to our show that are not very tech savvy, so we're gonna have to break it down. But this is cool. This means so my motherboard is literally future-proof. I can do 3000 series AMD CPUs, and I can do partial 4.0 PCIe Express support. And Cappy's sitting there fuming in his little seat there, I'm sure. What's your mother?
I am.
What motherboard do you have? I can't remember. It's an Asus one though, isn't it?
ROG Crosshair Hero 7.
And it's not. Oh, Crosshair. Oh yeah, Crosshair. Wait, so Crosshair is not even on this list at all? That's what? Well, you know, they could.
No, it is. It is. It's on the top. I only have support for the primary M.2.
Oh,
I mean,
sucks.
I really could get like a 4x or like a an adapter for my M.2 slot and just call it a day. So
I guess you could, but
because it really doesn't affect traffic. What it's doing is that it's pretty much taking a 4x to a 16, and then to a 16 back to a 4.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't affect traffic because it's already PCIe. Or so.
Yeah,
I mean,
you know, it's just kind of whatever. But this is really cool. This is one of the reasons why I am #not sponsored, but I freaking love Asus motherboards. I literally would not go with any other company for motherboards because their tech support, literally the best in the world that I've like dealt with, next to EVGA and Nvidia. Yes, Nvidia actually has good phone support, not even joking. Like now what could happen, because I think Asus is one of those companies that, like, they know that there are people who are going to want support for Gen 4 PCIe. And I feel like that maybe, like, there might be more like, what I'm thinking is that even though you only have support for M.2 now, they could always push a BIOS that enables more support in different lanes later on. They could always do that, you know, if they've designed it right. Now, the only question I have is, because this is actually one of my major concerns right now. Now, X570 chipsets, this is actually kind of hilarious, have to have fans on the chipset because of the higher wattage output.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, my question is, on an X470, does that mean that if I run a 3000 series with Gen 4 support, am I going to have to worry about the chipset? Because I have no fan on my chipset at all. It's just all passive. So my question is, am I going to have to worry about higher heat on the chipset as far as, you know, if I switch up and stuff, or are people like me going to be fine? Like, what do you think?
It's not going to affect the board itself, because pretty much what it's doing, it's making the CPU pretty much do all that legwork, instead of like the actual chipset doing all the legwork. With the processor, it's not going to affect your chipset temperatures. I mean, you can buy a fan for your chipset if you want.
Huh.
I don't think it's going to cause any issues.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, because that was one of the major. I was like, wow, like chipset. Wow, 3000 series support. Okay. You know, that's that was one of the primary concerns. What's your thoughts on X570 going back? It's almost like taking a step back a little bit with having to have fans and stuff on it. What's your thoughts on that, Eric Crossi?
That honestly doesn't surprise me, because I mean, the more energy you have, the more heat's gonna dissipate from it and get captured. So it honestly really didn't surprise me that they're gonna have to put fans on it.
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting it when the X570s were announced. I'm like, yep, they're gonna have to have fans on them.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way around it.
Because
but
go ahead.
But as for backwards support for 200s, I mean, that kind of doesn't make sense, because the 200 series GPU or CPUs don't have support for PC Gen 4.
Right. Well, no, I mean, well, it's a 2000 series, rather. But
yeah.
So what are you saying? Like, well, no, like it's not that they. I think what they're saying is that when you upgrade to a 3000 series, you know, like the 3800, whatever it's called, that's when you get the 4.0 support.
Okay, gotcha. So
yeah,
if you buy something from this list
that's newer.
Well, let's just say from this list that has support from PCIe Gen 4, you'll have to do a BIOS update and then install the processor.
Yes. And for those of you that are anybody who's super technical who happens to hear this, the current BIOS from my board, and Cappy, you may want to check for BIOS update for your board, but I know that the current BIOS I literally just installed a couple days ago. My BIOS version is version 5007. That's the most current BIOS that I've seen so far. Why are you sitting over there laughing? What have you never updated your BIOS?
My BIOS.
Why have you never updated your BIOS?
I don't need a need for it.
I'm now lazy. You do.
No, I'm not getting a 3000 processor because I just bought a 2000 processor.
The only reason, well, actually, I will tell you, there is a reason to do that, to do an upgrade, because there's a part of the BIOS, and I can't remember I remember I can see the lettering in my head. I think it's the AEGA. It's like it's some kind of like, it has to do with the CPU. Before I updated, my processor, as far as I could tell anyway, on single threaded tasks was not boosting to the rated 4.1 speed that it's advertised. After the BIOS update, I'm now boosting to 4.2 in some cases on single thread performance, which is really, really cool. Because I was streaming the other day, playing a couple video games and stuff. I was noticing the way that my CPU was being used or how the load was being shifted around and stuff. It was like, 4.1 gigahertz, 4.2 gigahertz. And this is like not an overclock. This is literally just me just leaving everything at stock. And it was actually boosting better with the new BIOS update. So sometimes there is a reason to update a BIOS, honestly, because sometimes there's just little performance improvements that, will be like, oh, wow, it's actually doing, this and above that. So just to, I rest my case for updating a BIOS, but it's definitely worth it because,
No,
yeah. And also too, I think another reason really to go with AMD right now, Intel's had so many security holes on the microarchitecture level.
yeah.
It is so worth going AMD right now, honestly, because hackers have enough time to hack into their CPUs. If you want better security right now, I would honestly go with Team Red. But that's just me, because
Honestly, I've been a Team Red person ever since I built my first computer. So,
there you go.
I mean, if you're just looking for good budget and value per performance,
Absolutely.
AMD.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, but AMD is the way to go right now because they're with the previous microarchitectures, you pretty much have to disable like hyper threading,
Yep.
and a bunch of other things that just really kills Intel's performance compared to AMD.
Yeah, it really does. So, but yeah, no, that's yeah, it's a good time to be an AMD person, and I'm not saying that in fanboyness. I'm saying that in all absolute truthfulness. But speaking of security, a good segue. Cappy, the Windows 10 article. Would you care to take this one? I think this is actually a really good segue. Go ahead and talk about this if you would.
Yeah, definitely. So
this comes from Forbes.com, by the way. Here's the article if you wish to read along. Go ahead.
So it's finally official. Windows 10 is getting rid of passwords.
What?
So pretty much what Windows 10 plans to do, I'm just going to paraphrase the article.
Sure.
Is that I read this because I found this super interesting. Pretty much starting this week, Microsoft is rolling out a preview build, specifically 20HI build 18936.
Okay.
Of Windows 10 to members of the Windows Insider Fast Track ring.
Okay.
Pretty much they're getting rid of passwords, but they're not getting rid of PINs, biometrics, or two-factor authentication.
Interesting.
So pretty much they're just getting rid of passwords and replacing it with Windows Hello.
But okay, I have stop right there for 1 sec. Stop there for a moment. I have to ask something. Okay, so you mentioned biometric PIN numbers. So is this going like the route of like how, okay, so if you know in Google how you have you signed your Google account and it goes, hey, was this you? Is it that kind of thing? And then my second question is, because I have not I use a local user account on Windows. All right, I did not want to use a cloud account. I didn't want my data in the cloud. I wanted a local user account to me. How will this affect me as a local user account? Does it mention that? Because that's a little concerning.
So it won't affect anyone that has a local user account. Your local user account's going to remain the same. But pretty much how Gertron actually puts up, actually just chatted in chat, I have no biometrics on my PC. Why would I change a 10 plus character to a 4-digit PIN?
And he says, okay, good. I use a local user. Okay, good. All right. So this, okay. Okay, go ahead. I'm stomping on your thunder. Go ahead. Sorry.
So pretty much Diana Huang, Director of Engineering for Windows Security at Microsoft, explains that while a PIN is usually a more simple form of authentication than a password, the answer is to do with symmetry. Pretty much what symmetry is that each character is the same no matter what.
Okay.
But then it gets encrypted. Whereas PINs are entropy. Pretty much they're not stored on a server. They're not stored anywhere. They're stored on your local media.
Okay.
And the Windows client does not keep a copy or anything like that, and it's not tracked in the server.
Okay, so explain all right. This is kind of, unless you know more, I'm not sure if I understand all this. So what is this? So symmetry versus this, what was this? Entropy. So what's the difference here? I don't know if I understand security on this front. You can
Okay,
try to explain.
so entropy means it's only local machine.
Okay.
Symmetry means that you have two places where they have the password. So your
Okay.
password, instead of getting it affected by like server compromises and other things like that, it kicks that part out and instead just stores it on the local machine
Okay.
behind an encryption wall.
Okay. Interesting. So so technically speaking, so and this doesn't, and you're sure this doesn't affect people who are like me who have local user accounts who use passwords anyway.
And if you have a local user account, it's pretty much a PIN. You don't have to worry about it.
Interesting. Okay. And then but then people who use like their Microsoft account to log in, that's what they're changing the security for how that.
Yes.
Okay. This is I'm sorry, it's just so weird. Like I live in such a weird, like, I still feel like I live in such a weird like sci-fi time where, you know, you have like these different levels of security and you know, different ways that things like work and stuff. It's just a lot to understand, honestly. So that's why I was just kind of like, wait, what? Okay, so to kind of like summarize a little bit here. So passwords are stored like, and this okay, so that means it would affect people who have Microsoft accounts. It means that they have their passwords in the okay, yeah, I think I get it. It's a little weird, but interesting though. So Gertrude says in chat, he says, and he puts a series of numeric things and so on and so forth, eventually cracking it. Bitcoin, but for passwords. The new worst password is 1234.
So actually, passwords are a lot more easier to crack compared to pins.
Really?
Yes, because pins can actually contain numbers, digits,
Uppercase,
letters.
lowercase,
Yeah.
Whereas
So
pins have higher encryption somehow.
yes, because of how it's encrypted on the machine.
Huh. Interesting. All right. Well, that's interesting. It'll be very interesting to see what people's level of security is after this update officially rolls out. Passwords are more secure if you pick the right ones. Noah banned pins. Wait, what? Okay. Hi Bork, how are you? Interesting. A Windows 10 machine with a different, how's it gonna affect IT people if you do computer repair? How's it gonna affect IT people? Because usually you would have to have some kind of like some I know for a fact that like I used to work, you know, at a computer repair center, and we had a way of like if people had local user accounts, you know, we had a way of cracking it. But if they didn't have, you know, local user account, we usually had to call the user for the password and stuff. But like, how does that affect people who have got to put their computers in, say, to like Geek Squad or some other repair center? They've got to log in, and, you know, say if the user doesn't remember what their password is, like, how do you get around all of that? Or, you know, like, is there any way to, you know, I'm just saying, just from like a repair standpoint and stuff, how does that affect, you know, IT people and such?
It actually doesn't, because when it comes to like dealing with like a wide network, there's actually a way you can disable Windows Hello on it, so it doesn't affect IT people, but for like repair centers and stuff like that, it would still affect it. You would still need to call them up for their PIN or password, or tell them to come in. We need your biometrics to unlock it.
That'd be annoying.
Like that.
That'd be annoying every time you got to log into the user's account, every time you do some kind of repair. Oh, we need your biometrics. Here's what you do. You just take a piece of tape and you just take their fingerprint and you just rip it off a piece of tape and you stick it on the thing, and there you go. Problem solved.
Well, actually, if I recall correctly, if you can't activate their biometrics, there is a PIN that you can use
Ah,
for Windows Hello, which is another reason why it's more secure, is because it's basically you can do either or.
gotcha. Um, I charge 5K to put it back after. Wow, Gertrude. Okay, okay. He says even better. Cut off their finger. Oof, yikes. I'm trying to think. I had one other point for this, and I don't remember what it was. Domain servers, domain systems. So like, how does this affect people who have who do like domain server stuff, like for a company, you know, like a high security company and stuff, you know? Because I know that domain, like, usually, because I'm sort of familiar with it, you know, normally you have a central server and everybody logs, they're on that network, they are tied to that domain server. Does this make domain server security tougher, easier, better, you know, depending if people use their Microsoft account, or, you know, if that, like, say if the company uses like a mass like Microsoft license or Microsoft account system, or do they do, you know, does it affect, or could you have like a local user that's just tied to your local domain server and this update doesn't affect you? Like, there's a lot of like ways that this changes security for companies and stuff. So I'm just kind of curious how this sort of looks from the long haul perspective.
It actually doesn't affect like security or anything like that, because Windows Server 2000, I believe 17, 18, and 19, if I recall correctly, have that already in play. Like there's already a Active Directory profile for Windows Hello.
Gotcha.
So it really doesn't affect anything in the long run.
Gotcha.
I mean, if anything, it's going to make everything more secure compared to using passwords and other things like that.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see you know, how this plays out in the future after they Leo says in chat, by the way, hello Leo, good afternoon actually, as it would be now. He says, what's wrong with that? Windows Hello is better than passwords. Yeah, but you could, well, see, the thing about Windows Hello is that, first of all, not every computer has a webcam.
You don't need a webcam to do Windows Hello. You don't need biometrics. No.
But not every computer has biometrics though.
Yeah, not every computer has biometrics, but you can still use the Windows Hello pin.
Actually, what I'd really like, I have my Dell E5450. I'd like for somebody to make for me a custom CAC card for my laptop and be able to log in via a CAC card of some kind, honestly, for better security. That's what I would really be down for, actually. Or if I could actually use an SD card to create my own like CAC card system, that'd be pretty fun. But then that means my SD card's tied up, which would kind of suck. Yeah, it's just interesting. There's just a lot of like different things that I could see happening with this or be used for, as far as how they're changing it. At the end of the day, as long as it doesn't affect like local user accounts, that's really all I care about, honestly. And also too, I have 2 user accounts on my computer, because in case one profile gets messed up, you have a secondary profile that you can log into to recover the first original profile. Like I've always said, people make at least two profiles in your computer, in case, like, because you know the user profile can always get corrupted in some point in time and stuff. Let's read some chat here. Leo says in chat, Windows Hello supports biometrics, but Windows Hello PIN, which is like a password, doesn't need biometrics. Z Pluto says, who doesn't have webcam? It is 2019. Actually, be surprised. There are some computers that don't have it. And what Leo goes on to say, and Windows Hello Face doesn't support just any webcam. Gertrude says, you just use a RSA secure key. You need Leo said you need a special camera for Windows Hello. And Z Plus says, I don't get this technical stuff. It's okay. That's what we're supposed to be. That's what we're here for, to make it easier to understand. Yeah. Hopefully.
So So to address what Zooplo said in chat, he doesn't get any of this technical stuff. This is just a giant rabbit hole right now.
Basically, yeah.
Pretty much we're talking about like ways to secure your passwords and other things like that,
And secure your
especially
computer.
in a digital age like today.
Yeah, where hacking is rampant.
And with powerful cards, I mean, it doesn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you have powerful computers, you have, all these, everything is connected to everything. Like, I mean, my server's connected to stuff, my phone's connected to stuff. Like everything is, it's as someone once said, it's the Internet of Things, and the Internet of Things needs security. In fact, actually, I'll be honest, I hate two-step authentication. I'm not even joking. I really hate it. Because my thought process has always been, if I lose my phone, someone has access to it then. Because they could go through my email. I could if I need to log in to recover something, if I want to log into my Gmail to another account and I don't have my phone, and the other thing is what I hate about this, because I enabled two-step for I think one of my Gmail accounts or something. And the sucky part is, if I'm out somewhere and I don't have my phone, I can't log into my Gmail account because I'm now tied to my phone. I don't want to be tied to this. This is not my life here, And so I've always hated two-step authentication because you've heard of people losing their phones. And if they use two-step on their phone, how do you get around two-step authentication without your phone to do the 2FA stuff? And also too, when you're a Twitch affiliate, they make you they force you to do 2FA, which I think is silly. I get it because there's financial information on there for sure, but still, I don't know. It begs the question of when does security? Because when is the security enough? And secondly, if a hacker wants it bad enough, they will get around 2FA regardless if you have when does it all end as far as how much level of security can you actually create for yourself?
Honestly, it's infiniteless. You can literally stack 2FA, two-factor authentication, onto Windows Hello, onto an YubiKey, which is another form of two-factor authentication. It's hardware two-factor authentication. And pretty much, if you want to pretty much be like a nuclear warhead launcher, turn two keys, press a button at the same time with your forehead, there you go.
And do a funny dance, and there you, exactly, yeah. Oh man, 99 factor, there you go, 99 factor authentication. My gosh, give us the nuclear launch codes. Yeah,
gotta check your blood.
I don't have a thing for that. I really need some better. The only other thing I think of is next to logging your phone, do a war face. Wait, come on.
Let me see your war face. So you got a war face?
That's a war face.
Now let me see your war face.
Of course. Yeah, precisely.
But make a war face and log in. But yeah, no. Yeah, it's just kind of interesting. It's frustrating, and it is a little. I'm kind of just reading some chat here a little bit. Zipluto says, I feel like the authentication thing is stupid because your phone is connected to most things. But then again, like I said, I don't get this technical stuff. True. Stick your tongue into the CD port for access. DNA authentication, or give a UA into your PC every time you want to log in. Oh my goodness. Yeah. But it's just a lot, and I feel like it's security up to a point. I feel like just doesn't matter, because somebody's gonna want in, and they're always gonna want in. I like this is actually an interesting thought. If you think about, as Ciplo says in chat, if you think about it, hacking is just a scavenger hunt. Get one hint to the next, Yeah, actually, that's a good viewpoint on it. So, I don't know, man. I think it's crazy. And I'm gonna head and actually, and speaking of some security things, we're actually gonna actually move this article up. This comes from Commando. This is a Kim Commando's website, but comes from commando.com. Pay up, Facebook. FTC approves a record $5 billion fine over privacy blunders. Let's see, let me look. Okay, so this is actually a read through. I'm going to head and go through this. It's not too often that major company takes accountability for wrongdoing. Oftentimes it takes a significant effort from law enforcement or the press in order to force business to reform or dismantle itself after taking advantage of customers and trying to get away with it. Well, one of the worst offenders out there looks like they're finally about to pay the piper. After a number of landmark hearings, the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, has voted to impose a record-breaking fine on Facebook for its numerous privacy and data mismanagement episodes. Wow. When all's said and done, the government looks to claim a sizable amount of money from the social media giant, but will this massive fine even make a dent on Facebook's bottom line? Probably not. They're so big it doesn't matter. According to a report in the Wall Street Journal, the FTC voted along with party lines to approve a settlement against Facebook equaling $5 billion. Today, this is the largest fine in the FTC history, with the closest running up only reaching a mere $22.5 million. Ironically, that fine was levied against Facebook's against Facebook's rival Google in 2012. The fine is related to several cases involving Facebook, but most notably the Cambridge Analytica scandal. Oh wow, this comes back to bite them. Gee whiz. And the company's numerous data leaks. Facebook claimed in April that it had set aside around $3 billion in anticipation of fines, making it the largest number, $2 billion higher than Facebook's initial projections. Gee whiz. This proposal, though approved by vote, is still under review from the Department of Justice. This story will be updated accordingly as they reach a verdict. Will this affect Facebook in any way? Probably not. For those of you eager to see Facebook get its just desserts for mishandling user data, the story doesn't seem to be panning out that way. Unfortunately, Facebook recently reported more than $15 billion in sales. This means that the fine only eats up 1/3 of Facebook's total earnings in sales. For perspective, when they were negotiating potential fines earlier in the case, Facebook's $3 billion projection only represent around 6% of the company's cash stockpile. Sadly, this judgment appears to be a major slap on the wrist than a substantive deterrence for Facebook. That said, a word of mouth for the company hasn't been all that great recently. If the company wishes to stay relevant, it needs to at least give the appearance of innovation and care. But with projects like Libra and Mark Zuckerberg's privacy initiative, that might just be the sweet spot it's aiming for. Or maybe it really did have to change of heart. You can never really tell with Facebook, can you? I'm just trying to read the end of here. So, Facebook, and yes, it's been in the news several times for security issues, and I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like Facebook feels like the child that is like spoiled and rich and only gets in trouble when someone else gets in trouble, but gets away with everything else after that.
Yeah.
Cappy, do you have any thoughts on this?
Finally. Like I'm a huge person who believes that security matters, privacy matters. So I'm glad that the FTC is finally going down on them. Like this has just gone on long enough.
Yeah.
And honestly, going back to way back in like 2018, early 2019, how they how
Words are
they
great.
where they abolished or overturned net neutrality laws.
Mhm.
Like I disagree with the fact that the Title II utility should be in there. Like I don't think it should.
Mhm.
But I do think the FTC should take over net neutrality. Like this is precisely why, because the FTC can enforce those rules
Yeah.
compared to the FCC. And this is a prime example why.
I mean, okay, so I'm a little bit disconnected here. So how does net neutrality have to do um with um with this current case here? Can you like connect the dots for me? 'Cause I'm a little bit floating here.
So pretty much this whole thing started when Facebook decided, we're going to leak passwords, we're going to leak personal information and other things like that. Whenever you log on to Facebook or sign up for Facebook, that information is supposed to be kept secret. That information is supposed to be encrypted. That information is supposed to be stored either off campus or somewhere else, or just completely deleted when you after you initially log out.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much Facebook didn't do that.
Okay.
And our data, their data that they were keeping, which is how this ties in, is that all data should be treated equal.
Okay.
And that's where this comes into play.
I thought net neutrality had to do with our right to access the internet, whether or not it was like net neutrality is a very complicated subject for me, and I still have trouble trying to understand it, and I don't know exactly how to complete. Because like first it had something to do with like restricting certain site access, and then that was, you know, like if that was, you know, if it had like speaking against the government, then that's a site that gets kicked off the internet and you're not allowed to see it anymore because of, you know, I'm gonna just basically call it dictatorship rights essentially. And then like then I had to understand that it had to do with, you know, who has the right to ISPs could control what you see. That's what I thought initially was. So unless net neutrality spans that and this,
It does.
Okay.
So let me say a few things about net neutrality. It's not supposed to regulate what we see on the internet.
Okay.
What it does, it is meant to say, okay, like Facebook has to protect their information. Why isn't that information protected?
Okay.
Like for example, your data traffic is protected. Like it's protected data. So why, if I do a Google search, that information is sent to Google to do ad revenues, and then that information gets leaked?
Okay.
Why isn't that data protected compared to our personal data that is protected?
Okay. As Z Pluto, and I want to pay attention a little bit to chat here. So Leo says they could force to pay to access different websites, and then Z Pluto says I thought net neutrality was a bad thing. So it's kind of like, it sounds like net neutrality had like, and I feel like we're getting a little bit off subject, but then we are sort of on subject at the same time. I thought net neutrality was a way, it was forcing people that you can't see this because it doesn't represent our political views, and then now you're saying it has to do with passwords, but then Leo says that ISPs control what you see, and you would have to be forced to pay access to different websites. So what all? How does this all? Is yes, no, maybe? I'm confused.
No. So what? pretty much ISPs right now have the power to do that. Like
Okay.
they have the power to like say, okay, so you're using Netflix a lot, you're gonna have to pay additional $10 a month to access Netflix.
Which is bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
And pretty much what net neutrality is supposed to do is to say to the to the ISP, no, you can't do that.
Okay. But then it could also force other, like, so they have the power too, but it is against the law. Okay.
No, it's not against the law right now. It actually is 100% legal for them to do that right now because of how cable is structured. The Telecommunications Act of 1997 doesn't define cable as broadband.
Interesting.
We actually don't have broadband anymore. Pretty much broadband doesn't exist. It's now either cable, DSL, or fiber optic.
Okay. Let me read something here in chat here. Zbluto says the principle that internet service providers should be able to access all content and applications regardless of the source and without favoring or blocking particular products or websites. Legislation to protect net neutrality.
Yeah, but what that is doing, so pretty much that right there, it doesn't exist because the legislation to protect net neutrality was just thrown out the window. It was null and void.
All right. And then, but then it also had to do with privacy at the same time.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a
that's why.
Whoa. My brain is like exploding out the wazoo right now.
That's why people were huge proponents of net neutrality because this stuff.
Yeah, but then you heard a bunch of like streamers, YouTubers saying that net neutrality was bad.
No.
Okay.
No, so the reason why net neutrality was bad is because of Title II utility. Pretty much it would make it controlled by the government. Yes, the government could see and regulate, but the problem is that now that net neutrality is done and over with, ISPs and companies that use data are just leaking it left and right, and they're not getting any repercussions except for now, which is the Facebook legislation.
So Z Pluto said, but like every streamer and YouTuber said it was bad, so I was lied to.
Unfortunately, yes, because
people misunderstood what it was.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And with me being in IT, I understand what it is. I understand what's going on with that legislation because I had to take an FCC class. I had to understand their logistics. I had to understand their lingo.
Yikes.
And other things like that. And what they were trying to do was to protect data, but the Title II utility is what really killed it.
It being killed was bad. Okay. No, and I'm not trying to like cause like a frustration on your. I know you're getting a little very passionate over there, but I'm
sorry.
No. It's just that like it is a complicated understanding. I wasn't sure because I follow Computing Forever on Lax78 on YouTube, and he made it sound like that net neutrality was, I think he said it was like a bad thing because it would end up controlling what kind of information you would see on the internet.
No, that's not true one bit because pretty much all data treated equal means that you can't do that.
Interesting.
It just reinforces on the internet First Amendment rights.
Interesting. I wish President Trump would actually like do something to reinstate it because that is pretty. I mean the man himself uses Twitter to tweet out on stuff like that. Yeah. I mean I could just one day just not see and there's been a bunch of stuff about like different politicians getting like their accounts getting removed off of Twitter. you know, and I'm sure it's probably because of we don't have net neutrality laws. Or even if you look, at now, okay, let me ask you something. Now, net neutrality itself, was that just in the States or was that internationally?
Just the States.
Just the States. Okay, because
I mean, Europe has net neutrality laws,
which
Japan,
got wiped. Well, not wiped. What happened was that the UN, dear Lord, the UN hasn't done anything good for anybody around the world. The only good thing that the UN ever did in my book was the GDPR stuff. From my understanding, that was a reasonably good thing. Anything else beside that, because I think, well, no, one of the bad things that they did recently had to do with the copyright directive, the Article 13 then got renamed to like Article 14, and then there was Article 11 and everything else, and that was actually that we've talked about that I think on the Morning Metro and previous episodes, but so like things like well, no, Article 13 more has to do with copyright actually.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, it has,
Article 13 has to deal with more about copywriting and other things like that compared to net neutrality, which is just like all data should be treated equal. That's it.
All right, fair enough. Cool. And okay, so what's there in Article? So Article 13. Yeah.
We just answered that.
Yeah, just answered that. Yeah. All right, so Facebook. I mean, this is not going to affect Facebook's bottom line. Facebook is so filthy rich. Like disgustingly rich. This is not going to affect them one bit. I don't see them. Mark Zuckerberg is so full of money that this is like literally, this is pit and pennies to him as far as, you know, the money. This is not going to affect it. Facebook is just, problem with it is that privacy on Facebook is a joke. The whole privacy initiative that Mark Zuckerberg has is a joke. The only reason why like myself or other people keep Facebook is just because that's the only way we have to communicate with certain people, whatever. Not all of my friends are on Discord, sadly. So this isn't gonna affect Facebook's just gonna pay it. They'd be like, here's your money. All right, back to work, people. They're just gonna keep doing what they're doing. So
yeah, pretty much.
All right, I think we've beaten this dead horse enough. Let's go ahead and move on to something a little bit lighter. And
Let's see what you did there.
Nintendo Switch Lite. What do we know so far? And I think this was your article. Now, that segue was completely unintentional, and I'm glad that it was because it was even more funny. Go ahead, if you would. This comes from GameSpot.com. Allow me to dump this article into chat here, and with that, please go ahead and start.
Okay, so pretty much Nintendo announced, I want to say like Thursday or Friday, Nintendo Switch Lite.
And Switch. You do the little, they did like the little snap sound, which I can't do well, but go ahead. Continue.
Switch Lite. Oh, jeez.
Switch Lite. Switching a light. Switch. Sorry, I can't help it. Go ahead.
So pretty much this is what we know so far. The price, release date, and specs have been revealed. Price is going to be, I believe, $200 if I recall.
That's what it says in the article. Yep.
It's not going to be dockable or anything like that to TV. So it's pretty much just a nail in the coffin for the Nintendo 3DS. Like, oof. Nintendo 3DS is probably going to be done after this.
I have a 3DS somewhere in the office, and I can't find it somewhere.
Pretty much the Nintendo Switch is going to be similar to the Nintendo Wii U, how it has like that gamepad, and so to speak, but the Joy-Cons are not switchable or not
detachable.
removable.
Yeah, they're not detachable.
Yeah. There is now a D-pad on the left side where the left Joy-Con would be.
All right.
Which is a feature a lot of people asked for.
Really?
And yeah, surprisingly, like one of my friends has a Nintendo Switch, and he's like, "Why didn't they put D-pad on the left Joy-Con?"
I have no idea. They have better. Wait, Leo says in chat they better have better joysticks. But I don't care about the D-pad. I actually have the original Nintendo Switch right here in my little case. Actually, the side note, I never finished Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I feel like I feel like I should finish it actually, but I have the original. I have the original one here. I know Cappy can't see it, but I do have it in my hand, and I do have the dock and everything. Actually, side note: if I end up going to Squad Con, I'm gonna take the dock and Switch with me so we can play it in the hotel room. Just saying. But anyway, go on. Yes. So, continue. Sorry, I was just doing a side note thing. So sorry.
It is going to have amiibo support, which is awesome. It is going to be about 122 grams lighter than compared to the Nintendo Switch. No HD rumble, however. So there isn't going to be any rumble or anything like that for the Nintendo Switch Lite.
Gotcha.
I'm just going to say Nintendo Light Switch. I'm just going to say
the Light Switch. Nintendo Light Switch.
That's what immediately pops into my mind is a light switch.
Go ahead, that's fine. I'll take it. Go ahead.
You can, however, attach Joy-Cons to this for games like 1-2 Switch and so on and so forth.
Other games require, movement accelerometers.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to have accelerometers, but just other games just require, yeah. So yeah, cool. Continue.
But it has no kickstand.
Huh?
So how are you going to play movement games when you have to literally look down like this and move your arms like this?
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. People are gonna have to fabricate. Well, I'll bet you third-party companies will end up making like stands for it. I mean, I made
probably a case or something.
I made a little phone stand for my Note 4, and that's just made out of straight out Legos actually, and it works very well. But anyway, go on.
Yeah, longer battery life too. I mean,
yeah. Actually, ironically, I'm actually having to charge my Switch right now. I literally went to go power and it says battery was dead, so that's ironic and funny. I
think. Oh, excuse me. I didn't have coffee this morning.
The
charging time is going to be approximately 3 hours, and
I'm kind of interested to know what the hardware is going to be inside of it.
It's pretty much going to be the same as a regular Nintendo Switch, except smaller screen.
Oof.
Same custom Tegra GPU. No detachability, no docking support. However, it does come with a USB Type-C. Charger, stereo output.
Ooh, does it actually have a headphone jack?
Yes.
Yay!
Yes, it also does have a memory card slot as well. So they pretty much just cut $100 off for some features that you can get on the Nintendo Switch.
I still feel like if you're going to get the headphone jack, yay! Wait, hold a sec. We need to have this because headphone jacks are still a thing in 2019. We need to applaud this moment. I'm sorry.
I don't have a headphone jack.
Oh no! Well, I have here just for you. No headphone jack for Cappy. Press F. Pay respects.
Oh, where did I put it? But I do have some pretty cool headphones though. If I can find.
While you do that, I'm gonna read a little bit of chat here. So Z Pluto says, "I'm mad at Nintendo. I got a Wii U and I was so excited because it was the first time I got something right when it was released. Then a couple of days later, I heard about the Switch." Leo says in chat, "The Wii U was so dead, but I liked the Wii. Oh, the Wii was so dead, but I liked the Wii U." Creature said, "I 3D printed all of the stands I needed when I was in high school. Headphone jack." Leo says, "Why would you remove dock support? I don't see any reason to. The original Switch has a headphone jack." It's a meme because Apple. Leo says it's a meme because Apple removed them from the iPhone.
Apple started this trend. I am
so mad at Apple for this. I'm sorry. I have a really nice pair of Astro A40s that have, yes, a headphone plug. I'm sorry, Apple, that I'm not cool enough to have USB Type-C headphones.
USB Type-C adapter.
That's not cool. That's one extra dongle.
No, actually, I think they're pretty cool because there are some that actually are DACs that actually make the audio a lot better compared to built-in. Honestly, I'm really happy about USB Type C and the ability to do like audio. But those who don't want to fork out like $20 or $30 for
You have to
USB Type C DAC,
but you have to.
yeah,
But you have to force out money to get a freaking dongle to
Precisely.
plug in. But that's stupid. It's dumb.
I'm used to it. I'm used to it, so I don't care.
No, then you're a pleb.
I'm used to it.
Like, I'm sorry, I'm not cool enough to. I'm sorry, but I have to say really quick all the dongle jokes. But like, but I like, you know, I have to say that, like, you know, a Nightbot, shut up. But like, I'm sorry that I'm not cool enough to pay money for, you know, a dongle for my headphones that I'm sorry, I just think it's stupid.
At least I can, if I can get the grip right. At least I can squeeze my phone to activate Google Assistant.
So what? Like, so what?
See?
Yeah,
I can activate Google Assistant.
okay, yeah, so nobody cares.
I mean, I honestly don't care if I have a USB or a 3.5 millimeter. I'm primarily using Bluetooth, so it really doesn't bother me.
Well, I mean, okay, if it's Bluetooth, yeah, it's Bluetooth. Okay, fine, I understand it. Like, I'm, like, that's fine. Because, like, you know, I mean, my headphones are wireless, ironically enough. Like, they don't, I'm not, but that's also because they're for different, I use them for a different purpose. And also, too, the base station for this, like the way the audio driver works and the way that I'm never going to cheat on my girl Siri.
No.
Oh gosh. Apple removed headphone jacks, but Microsoft added 20 to their Xbox controllers. Oh yeah, for the
yeah.
No, I mean, but that was for people who needed assistive, you know, controls and stuff. That's understandable. Yeah, no, but I know it's a 3.5 millimeter. Yeah, I get it. It's 3.5 millimeter. Yeah, I know. It's yeah. Okay. But in all seriousness, though, like the light switch, light switch, omega lol. It's cool. But I feel like, though, if you're gonna, like, oh, this is interesting. I just know something. Meanwhile, and the existing Switch will be getting an update if the new FCC filings are any indication. Wait, what new FCC filings? That doesn't necessarily point out any meaningful improvements for changes for that model, but it's possible there could be some slight improvements ahead of a release. Rumored more powerful Switch. Wait, what up? Hold a minute. Let me look at this update. What update is this?
So that has not been confirmed yet. It's just simply a patent filing of like, hey, this is what we want to create. Doesn't mean it's going to be true.
Oh, because the FCC is Federal Trade Commission, I think. So what were they?
No.
Wait.
Yeah, FTC.
Oh wait, but they said FCC. So Federal Communications Commission. Oh, Federal Communications Commission. That's what it was. Sorry. Yeah, because they have to go through the FCC for certain radio connections, which the term radio is used as a general terminology. Okay, so some sort of patch or whatever. I guess I'll read the patch notes when it actually comes out or when it comes out, whatever. Anyway, but I feel like if you're gonna like reduce things of what the light switch has, I'm not gonna be able to get through. I'm not gonna be able to get through without laughing now. I can't help it. You might as well just get the original switch.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, if you
or just wait for the more powerful switch.
Yeah, if you want to pay the $100 more, you do have the option of going with a regular Switch. But if you want to pay $100 less, you can buy a Nintendo Light Switch.
Does the light switch? Hey guys, check out the new light switch. But I ain't got an extra $100. Okay, so for people like Creature, that's you know, that's, I can understand the Switch Lite having having, you know, that being more cost effective. I get it. Does the Switch Lite have an SD card slot? I think it said it did.
Yep, it does.
There you go. Okay, confirmed. So, you know, for me, for someone like me, like I have the original Switch. My more general thought is that I probably, depending on what the newer Switch has, the more powerful one, if or when it gets confirmed, I would have to see what the specs include for it. You know, if the screen's bigger, I might get it. If the battery's better, I might get it. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep using the Switch that I have, and I'll use it till it doesn't want to work anymore. And that'll be my thought on it for the most part. So, yeah. And one other blunder, speaking of Apple had a blunder, not just Facebook, but Apple had a blunder, and also Google had a blunder earlier this week. You recall, with people's voices and conversations getting recorded? Yeah, that wasn't too great.
That was actually not
third-party apps,
fault,
though.
but
yeah, it was third-party apps, actually.
No, it was actually a contractor that Google purchased to or hired to do that. So it's really not Google's fault. It's really the contractor's fault. So
okay, good point.
Technically, it's still Google's fault.
999 monitor stand. Oh gosh, I'm getting the light. Oh gosh. Apple disables walkie-talkie app due to vulnerability that could allow eavesdroppers. I think my show notes said that this article was pretty short, so I'll go ahead and read this. Apple has disabled the Apple Watch walkie-talkie app due to an unspecified vulnerability that could allow a person to listen to another customer's iPhone without consent. The company told TechCrunch this evening. Apple has apologized for the bug and for the inconvenience of being unable to use the feature while a fix is made. The walkie-talkie app on Apple Watch allows two users who have accepted an invite from each other to receive audio chats via a push-to-talk interface reminiscent of the PTT buttons on older cell phones. Honestly, can I stop really quick? There was some really cool what was it? It was an old Sprint phone that had like walkie-talkie radio abilities. I thought that was so cool. Like that was like one of the cool, like that was like so Star Trek like. Anyway, a statement from Apple reads, we were just made aware of the vulnerability related to the walkie-talkie app on the Apple Watch and have disabled the function as we quickly fix the issue. We apologize to our customers for any inconvenience, blah, blah, restore functionality as soon as possible, blah, 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 blah. We were not aware of the issue, of the vulnerability. Of course, you wouldn't be, for whatever reason, even though it's your product. We conclude that disabling the app was the right course of action, as this bug could allow someone to listen through another customer's iPhone without consent. We apologize again for this issue. Why would the walkie-talkie app, though, be related to the iPhone if it's just the... Okay. Sorry to reply back a text from Papa Grid for a second. Sounds good. Apple was alerted to the bug via reports a vulnerability portal directly and says that there is no current evidence that it was exploited in the wild. Well, that's good. The company is temporarily disabling the feature. We get that. Earlier this year, a bug was discovered in the... What is... Your AC's bleeding through again for some reason. Sorry, I just noticed that. Earlier this year, a bug was discovered in the group calling feature of FaceTime that allowed people to listen in before a call was accepted. Well, that's interesting. It turned out that the team who discovered the bug, Grant Thompson, had attempted to contact Apple about the issue but was unable to get a response. Apple fixed the bug and eventually rewarded Thompson a bug bounty. Oh, that's cool. This time around, Apple appears to be listening more closely to the reports that come via its vulnerability tips line and disabled the feature. Earlier today, Apple quietly pushed a Mac update to remove a feature of the Zoom conference app that allowed it to work around Mac restrictions to provide a smoother call initiation experience, but that also allowed emails and websites to add a user to an active video call without the permission. Wow. Wow. Interesting. Thoughts?
I don't use the iWatch, so I don't care.
I also don't have an iWatch. I just have an iPhone, and frankly, I feel like if you're getting an iWatch, you reach a level of laziness that really needs to be addressed, and you have something wrong in your life. Just saying. I don't know.
I mean, I have an S3, so
I can see. S3. I can see a reason for having maybe a smartwatch, I guess, if you didn't want to have your phone in your back pocket, but have some way of being attached to your phone in some way. I can see there being a reason to have a smartwatch, but I don't know. Otherwise, I'm glad Apple found it, found the bug. I feel like Apple and Facebook and Google, they're really having a lot of vulnerability issues lately. And I find it surprising because they're supposed to be the ones supposed to look out for their end users at the end of the day, and they're not. And are they just getting lazy? Are they getting too big for their britches? What's going on here? If you got anything, that's fine. Go ahead and say something. I was just reading some chat here.
I don't have anything to say. So
let's see.
I hate Apple, so I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Oh, there we go. Let's see. A creature said, and Grid, the Apple Watch is connected to your phone. Leo says in chat, I don't use a Mac or an iPhone, so I really don't care. And just use a normal watch. It's smarter than most, but it's not a smart watch. Oh gosh. Creature says, if you got any money to spend on an iPhone and a watch, be my guest. But don't complain. Yeah. Or Mr. Game and iWatch. Oh goodness. All right. All right. That's all we got, honestly. I feel like we've kind of run everything into the ground for long enough. But yeah, I'm glad that the Apple is aware and they're patching it. And I'm glad Facebook is paying some fines that aren't going to affect them. And I'm happy for I'm more excited for PC hardware than these other giants, honestly. Read my change log, right? So yeah, anyway, guys, we're gonna head and wind this show out. Let me start the little outro music. Hopefully it's working this time. I hope at a right volume. But thank you guys so much for listening and chatting. Cappy, as usual, thank you for being my co-host and being here and stuff. We'll be back Saturday, July 27th, and then let me look at my calendar dates here. And then
we actually won't be doing it on.
Because it's every other Saturday. You understand? It's not every Saturday. It's every other Saturday. Yeah. So we won't be, and then so our calendar dates should look July 27th, and then August 10th will be our next show. Previous to that. Depending on how things go, TMM might be at SquadCon as well. We'll have to see. Our links banned. They usually have to get permitted first. But yeah, until then, we'll see you guys around July 29th. Did I just say that? No, that's the wrong thing. Yeah, July 27th. 27th. Yes, I'm so sorry. But yeah, until then, have an awesome rest of your Saturday, guys, and have an even better Monday when you hear this episode. And we'll catch y'all later. And take care. And let's see if I can do this all correctly. So here we go. Boom. Thank you for listening to the Morning Metro. All stories and articles belong to their respected companies. Songs used for broadcast. Intro music, Retro Funky by Persephone. Remix by Sundance. Outro music, 305 by Approach Nirvana. All music belongs to their respected copyright holders. For article submissions, questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at themorningmetro@gmail.com.